DSW, Designer Shoe Warehouse, is the one-stop shop for all your footwear needs. With sneakers, boots, and everything in between, for every style, mood, and occasion, you'll definitely find shoes that get you at prices that get your budget. DSW has what you need, but more importantly, they have what you didn't even know you wanted. You never know what you'll find at DSW. Find the shoes that get you at prices that get your budget at DSW stores or dsw.com.
Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast. I'm your host, Joanne Crone, and I'm joined here by the brilliant Bree Tucker.
Why, hello, buddy. How are you?
Bree, we're talking about toddlers today.
Yay!
We get to revisit that point in our lives when we had a toddler.
I love early childhood. The thing about those kids that I love the most is that, and you and I have teenagers right now, right? So I'm just going to take us back to toddlers. They don't hide their emotions and they don't hide their thought process. You can read it all on their face. And I love it. Like when they get a concept, they get this huge smile and they're so excited. It's there. So
Yeah, I do not enjoy the toddler face at all.
it is a lot of work. Yeah.
I would rather have the teenager who I'm like, ooh, you're thinking about something and you're hiding something from me. I view it as a challenge. I really, really like this age.
Then does that mean I can share some of the challenges from my teenagers with you?
Yeah, totally. I'm down with it. But today we are talking about toddlers. So if you have a toddler or if you have a toddler you love, I'm going to ask a lot of questions about what's going on right now with my niece and also my nephew, who's not a toddler, but has some big emotions going on. We're talking all about emotions. And to help us with that, we have Devon Kuntzman, PCC, who's founder of Transforming Toddlerhood. She's a certified coach and a mom to a 3-year-old who's helped thousands of families navigate toddlerhood with calm and confidence. She's on a mission to flip the script on the terrible twos and beyond as she helps parents see this stage as a once-in-a-lifetime chance to build social, emotional, and relationship skills. And her upcoming book, Transforming Toddlerhood, offers tools and perspective to make these early years one of the most rewarding stages of parenting. So with that, let's get on with the show. Welcome to the podcast, Devon. We are so excited to talk with you about toddlerhood. We don't get to talk about toddlers much here on the podcast, and they are one of the most, I think, frustrating moments of childhood for many parents because of the big emotions involved. And I can't wait to hear your slant on it.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to have this conversation. And I want to say that even though we're focused on toddlerhood today, parenting is one type of relationship in our lives. And so I often get told the things that we talk about with toddlerhood, these tools and skills can be used in so many different relationships across the board, whether it's with your teen, with your parenting partner, your peer, your friend, your boss. So that's what's so exciting about this.
One of my favorite things to say is that teenagers are just, and I go back and forth between toddlers and preschoolers, that they go right back to that as teens. They just have a better vocabulary. They go back to having the tantrums and the very self-centered thinking and all of that, just with better vocab.
Mhm.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
I still use tools that I learned during their toddlerhoods with my kids who are now 16 and 12. I think that these help them all throughout their lives.
Mhm.
But Devon, I was looking into a little bit of you and your backstory, and you used to be a nanny for high profile families. And during that time, you discovered something about toddlers and how you were interacting with them that really informed what you do today. Can you share a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So there were a couple of things that happened during this period of time that led me to creating Transforming Toddlerhood. One of them is that as someone who was with these toddlers all day, I saw parents come home after a long day, tired, exhausted, really wanting to connect with their child, and then their child just falling to pieces because they missed their parents and they had these big emotions saved up for them. But then what I saw was this miscommunication where parent wanted toddler so much, toddler wanted parent so much, but the communication was going like this because parents felt frustrated by all of the tears. They just wanted this nice, happy moment, and that's not what they were getting. And toddlers just wanted this connection, but their parents were frustrated. And so I was like, oh my gosh, what is going on here? We're having these communication errors with these tiny humans who just don't know how to say, I'm having a hard time, or I really missed you. And they show us with their behavior. And then at the same time, I had my own thing going on because, every day I felt like if the child had good behavior, there was no like meltdowns and all the things, then they were good and I was doing a good job. And that was a
Yep.
great reflection on me. I was
Oh,
doing a good job.
yes.
But right?
If they come home upset, yeah.
Right. And then if they're melting down in public and it's like, or
Yeah.
whatever, they're like refusing to eat their peas are flying across the kitchen. I'm like, oh, they're bad and I'm doing a bad job. And then one day it all came to a head and I'm like, this is so unsustainable. We're all unhappy. What's happening here? And it's really when it just all clicked. And I'm like, I'm a human. They're a human. We're all just having a hard time right now. Like, this kid's not trying to make my life miserable. He's just having a hard time. And when that
Yep.
clicked, everything changed. And I'm like, listen, everyone needs to know that toddlerhood is not terrible. It's a critical developmental period, and we've got to change the conversation here.
Yes. And what you're describing here is something that like so many moms we work with describe, even if their kids are older and they're out of the home for most of the day, like at work, and they come home and their kids are melting down and their kids aren't their best selves and mom's not their best self. And that's when that mom guilt really starts to come up that like,
Yes.
I am doing something wrong if my kids are not happy to see me. And you're saying like, it's just normal. It's just two people being unable to align correctly.
Yeah.
I wanted to add in there, like when you're talking about the mom guilt, Joanne, like there's also that piece where I feel like Devon was kind of hitting on it too. Like, so maybe you are a stay at home mom and you're with your kids, right? And then when your partner gets home, they start melting down and the partner not understanding why it's happening and you being tired and exhausted from the day, it ends up coming back to you and your partner's like, why is he always so grumpy when I come home? What are you doing with him all day? Why is he always so emotional? And then that just makes us shame spiral, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
so hard.
Yeah, and your partner's not trying to make you feel like crap. They just, like you just said, Devin, they don't understand what's going on because a lot of us don't entirely understand.
Absolutely. And with our brains, like, we have fully mature brains and it's hard for us to control our
Yeah,
emotions. And then we have these expectations, like we think a child with an immature brain, little life experience is going to be able to do something that we struggle to do and can't always do. And when we think about
yep,
it logically, when we're not triggered, we're like, this doesn't make any sense at all.
It
right?
doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Yeah,
When toddlers are having these really, really huge emotions, and I see it a lot, like my sister is talking about it now. She has a 1-year-old and she has a 6-year-old. And, you know, there's that mom guilt that comes in with the meltdown. And there's also the, oh my gosh, like I have no idea what to do in this moment.
right.
So, what's the first thing that you recommend a parent do when their toddler is just melting down of emotions?
Yeah. The first thing I always say is we have to establish safety. And there's two types of safety here, okay? There's the physical safety and the emotional safety. And the physical safety comes first. This is so important because sometimes there actually is a physical safety threat, right? Your child might be so upset they're trying to hit you, or they might be hitting their head on the floor. Maybe they're going to fall off the couch or something like this. And so
Yeah,
we want to establish that physical safety even if there's actually maybe something physical that might be a problem, or if it's just perceived, right? Like where our brain's
mhm,
just on high alert. We have to establish a physical safety because then we can use the 5 magic words. This is not an emergency. And I encourage everyone to write it down, post it on the wall, the fridge, the door, your bathroom mirror, all the places, and say it out loud. This is not an emergency because this is how we disrupt our stress response and start to create that pause where we can come back to our emotional equilibrium, get grounded, and establish that emotional safety. So then we can respond to whatever happened.
Yeah, that's a great thing.
yeah. Like saying that this is not an emergency is actually something I've been doing here at 45 with my anxiety, like having to tell
Yeah.
myself, this is not an emergency. It's not an emergency. No one's hurt. No one else is freaking out like my head is telling me. So it must be okay. So, I love that.
Yeah.
So that's the first part. Establish that emotional safety, establish that physical safety. Say, this is not an emergency. I want to hear what to do next right after this break.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations.
This is a message for anyone who's ever felt like their bra was just fine. Third Love is here so you don't have to settle for good enough. A company founded by women just like you who know what struggling to find a bra feels like. For over 10 years, they've been redefining what a comfortable bra looks and feels like, focusing on innovative design and high-quality materials. We're talking about bras, yes, bras, made with thoughtful details to solve common problems. Want to stay cool and comfortable all day? Third Love offers innovative thermoregulating fabric that has you covered. Looking for a little extra lift? Need smoothing? Even need to add a cup size? They've got it. And the fit? It's unmatched. Third Love believes everyone deserves a bra that fits perfectly, which is why they offer over 60 sizes from AA through H. They even have exclusive half cup sizes, which means if you're in between sizes, you can get a perfect fit every time. Stop settling for average bras. Get solutions made for your body. Get $15 off your perfect fit bra at thirdlove.com with code podcast15.
Nowadays, we're all juggling work, school drop-offs, events, appointments, and everything else. So flexibility in education isn't just nice to have, it is essential.
And that's what makes K-12 powered schools such a fantastic and valuable option. It's tuition free. You heard that, free. Accredited online public school for kindergarten through 12th grade, and it's designed to fit your real family life.
With K-12, school happens wherever there's internet, whether that's from the comfort of home, a grandparent's house, or on the go between activities. It moves with you.
Students can follow a daily schedule that fits their learning style and your family's rhythm, all with the support of certified teachers who are trained specifically for online education.
Plus, there are online clubs and social events so kids can still connect and build confidence no matter where they're logging in from. See why more than 3 million families have chosen K-12 to empower their students. Go to k12.com/ngm today to learn more. That's the letter K, the number 12.com/ngm. k12.com/ngm. Okay, Devon, we're right in the middle of a toddler meltdown. We told ourselves this is not an emergency. What's the next step?
So the next step is then to just do what it takes to disrupt your stress response and calm yourself down, ground yourself. And so that might be, smelling some essential oils, lighting, your favorite scented candle in a safe spot. It might be going and opening the window and getting some fresh air. It might be counting. You've got to know what it is for you. It might be just validating yourself, because no one's going to come to our rescue and validate our feelings and emotions. It's really our job to disrupt
And
our
that
own
sucks,
stress
Devon.
response.
Can I
It
just
sucks.
say that?
Oh my gosh, it sucks. And we're supposed to do this for our kid, but no one's coming to do it for us. And we're like, oh my gosh, it's double duty over here.
Yeah.
It's like we're all alone in this battlefield, and here we are being like, let's go smell a rose, because it's like, it's so hard as a parent. You feel so lonely, but I love that you have to know what calms yourself down. What, like, out of curiosity, what do you use to calm down, Devon?
So I'm one who I like to look outside, like somehow connecting with nature, even if I can't go out there, is helpful for me, or sitting down right where I'm at, or even laying down, because I'm someone that the more I can move, the more that movement adds to the energy of the upset that I'm feeling. So if I can still myself by sitting down or laying down, it starts to break that energy for myself.
Oh, that's a good thing. Bree, do
Mhm.
you know yours?
Okay, so when my kids were toddlers, if it was really, really bad, sometimes I would take them to a safe spot. So, I would take them to their room and be like, I know you're really upset, but mommy just needs a couple of minutes. And then I would go and put in like my headphones, or I would just go sit in the bathroom for a minute, breathe, and then come right back. So, like, I want to say it was probably like just a couple minutes of that. Now with teenagers, oh, I just go in the other room and I'm like, I'm done. I got to check out for a little bit. We will talk when I'm not elevated. So,
Yeah,
what about you, Joanne?
the same. With toddlers, it was deep breathing, but I didn't get too overwhelmed with them. I expected it every moment of every day. I feel like my
Oh,
nervous system was just like at its point where I'm like, well, this is another meltdown. Cool. Another, it's a daily thing. 3 p.m. We got this.
I can bring
We-
you back to a point, Joanne, because we have known
we
each
got-
other for so long. And Devon, I think you're going to love this one. I'm going to give you a scenario that happened to you, Joanne, when your youngest was a toddler. And I would like to know how you handled that situation. So I remember it was the end of the evening. You were making dinner and you had poured yourself a glass of red wine.
uh-huh.
And I will just stop the story there and let you pick up as to what happened and how you managed to get through that one. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Oh no, he was complete chaos.
Yeah.
He went and he grabbed the glass of wine off the counter, poured it over his head. So I looked over and there was like red wine dripping down his whole head.
Very red rum looking.
And then he went to go open the oven to like see what's going on inside the oven, and it was just complete chaos.
Was this a 3-year-old?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah,
he was
I
around
was
3,
gonna say
yes.
this sounds exactly like 3-year-old behavior. Not
Yeah.
2, not 4. It sounds like 3-year-old behavior.
Okay,
He was
Devin.
3-year-old behavior.
That's like psychic powers there. That was good.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was hilarious. I took a picture.
Oh, good. See, and me, I would have been screaming. Okay, wait. Okay, wait. I have an idea now, guys. I'm doing this on the fly, everybody in podcast land. I'm trying to think. The worst scenario I had with my kids when they were toddlers is one night, my kids are only like a year apart. I went outside to take the recyclables out. My husband was still at work. I was making dinner. We had like macaroni and cheese on the stove. And I was like, okay, I just got to walk outside of our garage. And literally on the other side of the garage, just right there, I could still see the inside of the living room where the kids were watching TV was our recycle bin. And I went to go drop the recycles. And as soon as I like closed the lid, I heard a second thing go boom. And I'm like, oh my God. And I run to the door. My toddler had shut the door. And then my preschooler went up and locked it with a deadbolt.
They worked in tandem. Teamwork.
I was outside barefoot, no phone, nighttime. I only saw one light on at one neighbor's house. And I wasn't like a really friendly neighbor. I didn't like chat with everybody. So I didn't really know anyone. I had to run over to a neighbor's house, asked to borrow his phone to call my husband and my parents, who both had the spare keys. And my neighbor was like, oh, I know how to pick locks. You want me to get in your house? I'm like, I don't even want to know why you know how to pick locks, but get me in there. Because I could just see everything going wrong. And when I got in, my kids were crying. They're like, where did you go? Oh, man. Every bit of you to not yell at them and be like, you locked me out.
It's crazy behavior. I mean, Devin, I'm sure you have some stories like that too.
Oh my gosh, yes. And this story actually reminds me of there's a lot of stuff going on around social media right now. This idea of like, oh, you'll never meet a gaslighter like a toddler, right? Like your toddler.
Teenagers are a better gaslighter than a toddler. Yes.
Haven't gotten to the teen years yet. But
Yeah.
anyways, I mean, I think that my most challenging, probably worst parenting moment is when my son was 13 months old. So just had learned to walk. We were on a trip. He had learned to walk. We're on a plane coming home. He wasn't feeling well. And then like projectile vomited all over me, himself, and the 25-year-old guy who was sitting beside me.
Oh gosh.
I was like mortified in tears.
humiliating.
He was screaming. And this poor guy was so nice. And he's like, don't worry, my dad's an EMT. I can handle this. And I was like,
good.
Thank God.
And he was like sitting in like my son's puke for like an hour and a half on this flight. And I tried to, I'm like, can you please just give me your phone number so I can like Apple Pay you a Venmo? I want to buy you and your girlfriend dinner tonight. And he wouldn't. I was like, oh, that's so sweet. I was mortified though. I was like a wreck. I was like, oh my gosh.
I would be mortified too. So embarrassed, especially like with all of the stories right now about like unruly airplane passengers and children.
Yes.
Like it's a tough world out there.
It really is.
Toddlers on an airplane.
It is. But, you know, I
It
think in
is.
this moment, like coming back to also like how we can calm ourselves down is like this idea of like, Sometimes having this reframe in our brains can be so helpful, is that my child is not being mean, bad, rude, manipulative,
Yeah.
trying to give me a hard time.
Mhm.
They're struggling. They're having a hard time. That's what's happening right now. And oftentimes that's literally what I'm chanting in my head when I'm faced with some type of toddler chaos, is like, this isn't going to last forever. This is just a moment in time. And he's struggling right now. He's a good kid, and
Yeah.
that's what I'm just telling myself over and over and over and over and over again.
I love
That's
that.
an interesting thing to bring up because I watch my parents watch my nephew and my niece, and they're very old school with the way they handle behavior. So like my nephew was melting down and I heard my dad go, "No." And my nephew just cried harder and harder.
Mhm.
And I was beside myself because, they're my parents, they're in charge. I can't say like, "Hey, mom and dad, don't do that." Like, this is not a great thing to do. So what, like a lot of parents, and I think they were raised in this generation too, is that they think that kind of recognizing emotions is like giving in. Like you're not showing somebody how to behave. You're not showing your toddler how to behave. So how can parents balance this validating of emotions, helping their child through the
Yes.
emotions without like having this fear that they're reinforcing some kind of unwanted behavior?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my husband and I were talking about this last night because my husband got my son out of the bath and he looked like he was going to kiss my husband, then spit in his face. My
Oh,
son
that
also,
sounds like a toddler behavior.
right?
Yes.
He also skipped his nap yesterday and he was exhausted, right? And so,
Yeah.
in that moment, my husband went and handled it by my son ran away. He walked over to him. He sat down beside him, put a hand on him, and, reinforced the limit and expectation. And in a very clear way, but in a kind way. And my son said, "Next time I'm not going to do that, Papa," and everything. But then we thought, and we're like, oh my goodness, like so many kids would have just, been yelled at. And he's like, yes, because growing up, I was taught like you have to, in French, my husband's French. So like the translation is like, you have to like make your mark, right? You have to mark this moment. Like if you don't do something right now, you're not going to teach your child a lesson and the behavior is going to continue. So I think so much about our inability to validate emotions comes from fear of the future. It's not actually has anything to do with the present moment, but we're afraid of like what could happen in the future. And it distracts
Yeah.
us from the point of the matter, which is your child is having a hard time. You can validate emotions and experience without condoning behavior. So that's why we say, like, you want to ignore the behavior, but not the child, right? You want to, like,
Mhm.
support your child with their emotions, teach them skills, but you don't want to put a lot of focus on the behavior that you don't want to see. You want to set a clear limit, but you
Yeah.
don't want to spend too much time giving that behavior a bunch of attention.
I'm just gonna say like this one thing. Like I feel like our parents, the older generation, they were taught to raise children almost like the way that I'm being taught to raise my daughter's puppy.
It's
Right?
true. I use the same parenting methods on my puppy as parents of the older generation used on their kids.
Right?
Yes.
Like I was like the yelling of the no. I was
The
just
no.
doing that this morning because the puppy was screaming like because my husband had put our older dog, he had taken him in the bathroom to give him a bath, and the puppy didn't know where his brother went and was freaking out. And I just was yelling, no, no, stop it. Like he had any clue what I was saying. And like that was gonna help. And yeah. So it's interesting how that is.
Well, Devon, something you said like in the middle of a toddler meltdown, first, make sure everybody's safe physically and emotionally. Second, ground yourself and reframe. And we kind of got into what to do after that, but I want to like make it really concrete for everybody right after this.
Finish training for the day? Time to fight post-workout fatigue with Core Power Protein Shakes. They're packed with 26 grams of high-quality protein to build muscle and electrolytes to help hydrate. The nutrition you need to help your body replenish, rebuild, and repair post-workout so you can power on to the next one. Champion your recovery with Core Power. Visit corepower.com to learn more.
Wish you could become a morning person? You know the type, up before the sun, early morning runs, first one to the office with donuts and a smile. How do they do it? easy. With a new Galaxy Watch 8, sleep tracking and personalized insights from Samsung Health help you improve so you can wake up to a whole new you. One who, dare I say it, skips the snooze? It's possible. Train your sleep with Galaxy Watch 8. Learn more at Samsung.com. Requires compatible Samsung Galaxy phone, Samsung Health app, and Samsung account.
How do you top your love for your cat? With a cascade of decadent, savory gravy over a mouth-watering mousse pate. Fancy Feast gems. 2 gourmet pâtés in one convenient pack. Simply peel and plate to reveal a pyramid shape that makes eating delightful and pamper her with an experience as extraordinary as she is. Turn the everyday into the extraordinary with Fancy Feast gems.
So once you have grounded yourself, Devon, and making sure that you're in a place where you can respond non-reactively, what's the next step when your child's in this meltdown?
Yeah. Well, oftentimes less is more in the middle of a meltdown. So you have to think of a meltdown kind of like a bell curve like this. And so when your child's like halfway up at the top or like halfway down, they're probably not going to hear you because they're like stuck in a stress response. They're in fight or flight mode. They're not going to hear you. So what you're really doing is just upholding limits and keeping the physical and emotional safety. You might sit near them. You might give a little bit of validation. You might come back and forth and check on them. But I think the main thing is with a tantrum is what happens after is you want to talk about what happened and teach skills. You want to know, okay, what triggered this? And then talk about how we can handle it next time to give them those skills of something that might prevent the tantrum or how to handle their big emotions and practice those different calming skills and things. But one thing that I think is so important for parents to know is that if your toddler is having trouble moving forward from the tantrum or meltdown, it might be because they think you might give in on the limit that you've set if this is a tantrum over a limit.
Yep.
So sometimes you need to move forward. You need to be the leader and move on. And then your child will follow you. So it might mean like go turn on some music, get out a toy, and start into something else. And then your child will likely calm down and follow you, because they want to be close to you and they also see that there's no chance that this might change the situation or whatnot. So it's just really important to remember that you're the leader. And so sometimes we have to help our kids move forward by moving forward ourselves.
That's a great strategy because like I see a lot of holding limits with toddlers and like many people would just be like, no, why aren't you listening to me? You're not listening to me. I said no. And what you're saying is instead of repeating yourself over and over again, it's just to go do a different activity. Use that distraction to your advantage so that they move on from it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yet another example of how teenagers are like toddlers. I'm just going to say that and leave it.
It's hard though with teens because they remember like an elephant.
Yeah.
You know how elephants have really good memories? Maybe that's not true. Maybe I'll need to fact check myself on that phrase, but teenagers will come back to you again and again and again. And they'll be like, yeah, remember when you said this like a week ago? I'm still going to push this limit. It's a different thing with toddlers. Toddlers, I feel the distraction works.
Nope. I get this straight up. That rule's so dumb. Why can't we just change it? And you know that's what a toddler would be thinking too. Like, it's so dumb. I can't have a handful of goldfish when we have dinner in 5 minutes. Like, it's a dumb rule. I'm hungry. I should have it. If they had the language, I bet that's what they would be saying.
But this example that I just gave about moving forward, it was about food and I wasn't giving my son any more snacks because he actually had a plate of food. So I actually brought that plate of food with me, sat it down on the floor, which we don't normally eat on the floor, but I was like, hey, we're just bringing this plate of food here, got the toys out, got the music. And then after a minute, he came over, sat down beside me and then grabbed a piece of chicken and ate it and just started eating his food. And it's like, they just have to know sometimes that we're really serious about the limit and that when we move on, it signals that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of moms, though, listening to this, they're like, well, that is not how I reacted the last time. Maybe I lost my temper. Maybe I yelled at my child. I screamed.
Happens.
And then they feel guilty about that. How can we recover in those moments where we weren't really our calmest selves? We made the mistake. What can we do then to build a connection with our kids?
Yes, I'm so glad you brought this up. I just want to tell everyone, you are not failing in these moments. You are a human being. You're not a robot. You can never be a robot. You can't program out your feelings, emotions, and needs, nor do you need to, because children need a human, vulnerable parent more than they need a perfect robot parent. So I just want everyone to
Absolutely.
hear that. It is
Love
so
it.
important. Yes. Beyond that, we have to make a choice. Are we going to like look in the rearview mirror out, the back of the car and be and woulda, coulda, shoulda land, beat ourselves up, tell us how we're doing such a bad job, how guilty we are? Or are we going to choose to say, that was hard. That's not what I wanted to do. Here's how I want this to go next time. And then practice it and try again. Because when we're willing to learn alongside our child, when we're willing to practice, that's when all the growth and learning happens for yourself and for your child. And the best thing that we can do is focus on repairing the relationship. I have a whole chapter on this in my book where it talks about how do you recover after you lose it in these moments.
That's a good point about, first of all, learning alongside your child, because it's not something that we really saw our parents do.
Nope.
We never saw this modeled. And a lot of us go into parenting repeating those generational cycles. So, how can we respond differently than our parents did if we're seeing that this is a pattern?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first, it's just awareness is the first step, right? It's just
Yep.
noticing, oh, I'm stuck in this pattern, and not beating yourself up, and also not jumping to the other end of the spectrum and then being permissive, right? Because that doesn't help anyone
Mhm.
either. So, what you want to do is just start taking ownership and accountability. So instead of saying, like, you made me so mad, so I yelled, but I'm
Mhm.
sorry, what we want to say is something like, gosh, I felt really frustrated, like no one was listening to me or no one could hear me. And I
Mhm.
lost control and yelled, I am really sorry about that. Or you might say, how was that for you? And then validate your child's experience and then apologize and say, hey, I'm really sorry. That's on me. And that's not how I want to be in this relationship. And then you might even say what you want to do next time and then practice it right there. Because now you're showing your child that you're committed to doing it differently. You're showing them that you're human, you're going to make mistakes, but
Mhm.
you also are trying to have it go differently as well. And this feels really weird in the beginning, but being vulnerable gets easier and easier with time.
I mean, I love that because we all know that our toddlers are little mirrors of us, right?
Yes.
Like, if you slip up and you say a curse word, what do they say for the next 10 minutes? That curse word, like nonstop. Oh my gosh. Like, this is a little bit older, but I remember when my daughter went to kindergarten and the kindergarten teacher reached out to me and was like, so Audrey keeps saying what the in class. And we know that she's not saying the last word of it, but if you could help her not say that, it would be very helpful. And I'm like, oh crap, I say that all the time. And
And
that's
then
what she
Audrey's like, oh, crap.
she would be. She would be. And so, like, yeah, that 100% is true. So, like, if you have ever experienced that with your kids, I think, then you know that admitting when you've made a mistake, showing your child how to come back from that mistake, admitting that you're not perfect because they think we are. They really do think we are perfect at that age.
I want to talk, though, a little bit, Devin, about the shame that comes when you start being vulnerable with your kids and
Ooh.
owning up to your mistakes.
Mhm.
Because at the start of my parenting journey, like my parents never did that with me ever. And it felt so foreign to take ownership over my behavior, even
Mhm.
though I knew it was the right thing to do. I felt like flooded with shame, thinking like I am the only person here who is taking responsibility in this situation. Nobody has done that for ways they have treated me
Uh-huh.
in the past. And so there's these complicated emotions that come up as a parent with like, okay, I wasn't treated this way, but I do want to raise my kids this way. And you almost feel shame for being vulnerable, but you also feel a little like hurt and grief that this was never
Given to
given
you.
to you. And I just want to open it up for discussion on that because I don't think it's something we talk about a lot as
This
parents.
is such a good point. I mean, it is tough being a cycle breaker. Like, it is not only a conscious choice that you're making, but it's like something that you really have to recommit to time and time again when it feels
Mhm.
good and when it feels bad. And it is really hard. This is what's so hard is because you're asked to kind of reparent yourself and heal your child wounds and give
Mhm.
yourself that validation, that the younger
Yeah.
self, that validation, that love and care. at the same time, you're trying to give it to your child. And no matter what age your child is, because whether you're doing this when your child's 2 or when your child's 12, and it is challenging. And this is where we see how hard we truly are on ourselves and how the different hurts that we might not think about consciously on a daily basis are actually kind of rule the roost in what we're doing in subconscious ways.
Yeah, and I don't know about you guys, but like apologies too. I had to look at them in a different way as a parent than what they were presented to for me. Cause like even now, like some apologies aren't done well. Some apologies are like, oh, I'm so sorry. And then the person who is being told sorry almost feels like they're responsible for not making that other person feel bad because that person hasn't taken complete ownership of the situation. It's more of like, I'm sorry, I'm such a horrible person.
Oh,
And, da-da. And you're like, you're not a
Yeah.
horrible person. You're okay.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like, relearning to do those apologies too as a parent is also a hard thing.
Yeah. I mean, that's why my 4-step process starts with taking ownership. That's why
Mhm.
the actual apology is step 3. So I went through the process, but I didn't maybe name it out loud. But step 1 is take ownership. Step 2 is to understand the impact. Step 3 is to apologize. And step 4 is the redo. The apology is actually the 3rd step, not the first step.
Mm.
And that's why, because if we make apologies the first step, we're like oftentimes doing it by like throwing ourselves under the bus. Like, still
Yeah.
coming from this place of beating ourselves up, coming from shame, which is different than coming from an empowered place, which is saying, yeah, I did this and I'm sorry. And I'm committed to doing it differently next time. That's coming from a place of looking out the windshield, right? Towards what's next, not
Yeah.
looking through the rearview mirror.
Yeah. Oh, I think I love that
I love that
reframe.
analogy. Yeah. Like I look through, dang, I don't know how I'm not hitting stuff. I'm looking in that rearview mirror all the time. That's
It's a hard
interesting.
place to be. So, Devon, you have a book, Transforming Toddlerhood. Tell us all about that.
Yes. Well, this book has been a long time coming. I really wanted to write a book that was comprehensive, science based, and easy to digest because we have these books like What to Expect, like when you're pregnant, and we have books
Oh,
about
yeah.
infancy, but we didn't really have a reference manual for toddlerhood that is just really easy to understand and implement. So I wrote a book with 45 mini chapters broken down into 5 parts that discusses the toddler parent, discusses toddler development and how to align your discipline with development, and then 3 sections covering just about every single challenge you might have with your toddler, with toddler tips, scripts, red flags, FAQs, all the things that you need to just go to in the moment. You can read it cover to cover, or you can just keep it on your nightstand. And as your companion, when the going gets tough, you're in a tantrum, you're having separation anxiety, you're having parental preference, go to that chapter, get the support you need.
So what I'm hearing is you wrote the parenting manual that everybody is like looking for because we don't have. You wrote it
For
for
toddlerhood.
toddlers.
I
I
did.
love it. I
Yes.
love it.
That's excellent. Well, everybody go get that book. And then, Devon, we always like to end the podcast episode this way. What is one thing that you are looking forward to in your life right now?
Something that I'm really looking forward to besides my book coming out is my son starting school for the first time, a forest school program. And I'm so excited for him because he's been talking about it every day for the last couple of weeks. And I'm like, it's so sad to see him grow up, but it's also so exciting at the same time. And so I just want to embrace all of these new milestones and savor them. And so I'm really excited about that.
That's awesome.
I miss that.
You're going to have a great time.
To give you a little bit of a perspective here, Devin, my oldest just went off to college and today is
Oh,
his first day of school. And
okay.
I said to him last night on the phone, like, listen, at some point during the day, can you just snap a selfie so I can have a picture? And he's like, why would I do that? I'm like, because I have a picture of you on every first day you've ever had, starting with preschool. And I just want one for me to see you on your first day of college. And he's like, yeah, I'm not doing that. That's just how my kid is. I will break him, I promise. I will break him and I will get that picture. But it's interesting how those first, like from preschool on, like they always are huge to us as parents. They're so like
Yeah.
heartwarming. So
They really are.
Devon, thank you so much for being here today and for taking us through how to handle a toddler meltdown while also, keeping yourself in check and making sure that you're adhering to those limits that you set and reframing it and what to do if you don't ground yourself and you end up yelling and how to apologize and how to repair. It has been such a joy talking with you today. And everybody out there in podcast land, remember, the best mom's a happy mom. Take care of you, and we'll talk to you later.
Thanks for stopping by.
If you'd like to support the show further, you can share episodes with your loved ones, leave a positive review, or follow us on social media at No Guilt Mom. You could also show your love by visiting our amazing podcast sponsors. We have a link in the show notes.